Hey, 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 how are you doing today? I hope you all are well. It is me. I'm back, Odessa, Doctor of Natural Medicine, soul therapist, womb wellness coach. I'm here again to share my passions with you, to share what I love to do. Um, and just open up different kinds of conversation. So today I want to talk about the importance of following your intuition, because there's quite a lot of us, right? Quite a lot of people who I come into contact with, who have conversations with, who tell me that, I thought about this, but I didn't do it, or, this person came to mind and I didn't follow up, or I felt like I should have and something ended up coming up, right? So this is what the talk is about today. Not following your intuition. Why aren't you following your intuition, right? And so what I'm seeing, right, I'm observing is that the opportunities come up for an individual like yourself to follow whatever inclination you have. You have a dream or you have a thought. You need to call this person, and you might say, not right now. I can't call them right now because I'm busy. Right. Or you might, say I have to go somewhere. I haven't spoken to them in a long time. There's no need to call them. You might have that niggling feeling. You ever have that feeling like something just doesn't sit right in my chest or in my gut, in my belly about this situation or about the way that I'm feeling, and I think I should go and have it checked. Or maybe you've had a conversation with someone and they themselves had said something and you're like, that didn't sound right, or I got a funny feeling, or, I think something else should come out of it, but you haven't followed up. Right? So this is the clincher. You have the impression, you may have thought about it, you had the urge, it's been hanging in the back of your mind. You know that this is coming up more than once and you could potentially do something, but you don't do anything, right? Or what you do, what you need to do, what needs to happen, what I mean, how you should respond because it feels like it's the right thing, but you don't do it. You know what I mean? Or you need to ask someone else for help. You have a feeling that this going in this direction would help you, working with these particular people would help you because you have a feeling like maybe, but then another part of you says, you know what, never mind. I can do it myself. I've always done it myself. I'm okay with doing things on my own. Wipe the slate clean. I don't even want to think about that. Moving on, right? So what happens is you don't connect, you don't contact, and you don't network with whatever the circumstance calls for. If it's your health and you need to have conversations with the right therapist, the right practitioners, the right primary caregiver, you understand what I'm saying? These are really important things to consider, sorry, yeah. So how it's showing up, right, is you're putting it in your schedule. You might be putting it on your calendar and saying, okay, well, I have this to do. I need to get this done. And the day comes and the day goes and the week goes and you're in a new month. You may pay for a class, or you may pay for a membership gym, right? And you need to go, you need to do something, and you don't go to it, or you never follow up, and you feel as though you have to follow up, right? So all of these things I'm talking about, these are the smaller, minute aspects that we take for granted when it comes to following your intuition. Eat this, go here, do this, see this person. These are aspects of ourselves that are communicating with ourselves, but we are not trained to be productive. We are trained to be counterintuitive and counterproductive to our issues. So what I find the root cause to this seems to be is it has to do with how we view ourselves, how we identify, right? And what kind of values you apply to that identity. right? You don't see yourself as a person who is intuitive. You may not see yourself as an individual who needs to communicate with other people. You may not see yourself as a quote unquote spiritual person, as a woo person. You know what I mean? You may see yourself as a very linear thinking person who has wayward thoughts periodically, right? So if your values, the things that you value in life, the small, minute things and the grand things that happen in life, if you don't value certain qualities, this is one of the reasons why you're not reaching the goals that you want to reach, right? And as an individual who is not trusting their intuition, you don't see yourself as someone who maybe has intuition, who needs to trust it. You don't necessarily see it as something that's important, right? Another aspect may be that, you are not taking full stock of what's happening around you and what's happening inside of you. You may be unaware of what's happening to your internal life and that internal representation that you have, and your external life and that representation, and how they're intrinsically connected, right? And I think we've reached a point, I would like to think that we've reached a point where most people can see that, right? But it's even more complex than we think, right? Because if you don't have an awareness of your thoughts, of what you're thinking, of what's going on the inside, that same level of sense awareness, of perception, is lacking from the outside world. So the small, subtle, oh my goodness. So the small, subtle things that are happening around you that, people are saying, or, small glitches and things that are happening, or you're noticing, or you can notice, or maybe you do notice, but you don't take more time to investigate, right? These are some of the root causes of why we don't follow our intuition, right? And you keep relying on what you know, right? We're taught to think in linear ways of thinking. We are taught logical ways of, analyzing things, and we're not encouraged to go deeply into our imagination, into our intuition, into what we don't see. Because another thing that is so important, is that I want to mention too, is our intuition and our imagination have been tampered with badly. Okay. And one of the, and for me, this concept and this idea of your intuition, I know you all might have heard me speak on other episodes about intuition and the importance of it, but in this day and age, with what's happening to us, with what's happening to our bodies, with what's happening to the environment around us, and with everything that is coming up that we understand about humanity, about the planet, about the earth, about evolution, about the direction that we're going in, it is of great and grand importance that we begin to embrace and accept all pieces of who you are, because you aren't just, one aspect, you aren't just, this physical body, you are a physical body, but your spiritual body is inside and outside of you, right? So you're constantly picking up information. And if you don't have the impetus, if you don't have the awareness, right, then you're not able to understand how to move faster through a situation, or how to, respond to what somebody has said to you, or even a dream that you have, or something within your own physical body. Like, I work with women and their womb issues. And that is a huge, huge piece of my work, is getting women to trust what they see and go against what they've been taught. Because, example, the luteal week, that's the week before a woman has her menstrual cycle. When a woman gets into her luteal phase of her menstrual cycle, if she is denying aspects of herself, and aspects of her spirituality, if she's denying and suppressing her intuition and aspects of her creative thoughts, this will affect your mood swings. This will 100% affect your mood swings, because a woman in her luteal week is peaking with her intuitive awareness. So the week of your before your menstrual cycle and the week of your menstrual cycle, a woman's intuition is incredibly high. And if you're not tuned in, tapped on, and tuned in, turned on, I don't remember it, but if you're not tuned in, tapped in, and turned on, there you go, then you're going to miss the cues, right? You're going to miss the cues. We don't want to be missing cues anymore. We want to see. We want to see the red flags. We want to see the white flags. We want to see, everything coming at us. So we want to be aware of what's happening around us, right? So these are some of the root problems that I'm seeing. So you're relying on what you know, on what you can see, on what you've been told, but you're not relying on your higher sense perceptions, right? You may have a difficult time, taking full stock, not taking accountability to what you need and your values and identities, because your values and identities are not aligned, okay? So you're not really moving forward, right? When it comes to understanding this aspect of yourself. And so when I think about this, I think of the areas of life that take up a lot of our time and space. And they are very much dictating this counterproductive aspect. Example, medicine. When you go to speak with your primary care physician, they are taught that everything must be scientifically based. It must be backed. You must have proof, right? I remember I had a situation a couple of years ago. I had a discomfort in my physical body and I went to see my doctor. And she was like, "Oh, no, it's okay. I've gone to see another doctor." And that doctor was like, "You're coming to see me? Huh. And you're asking me to give you an x-ray requisition?" You see, this is how my doctors know me. My doctors know that I know my body. We had an x-ray, we did all kinds of different tests, and the little botheration that came back, right, it was legit. And when the doctor saw the results from the different tests, she was baffled. How is it that you're able to feel what's happening in your body? That is microscopic. How can you know that? And I said to her, it's because I listen to my body. I trust my body. And I trust that I'm going to get answers when I come here, because I know that you guys can do the research. We are going to find out what's going to happen. So I had to trust. I had to trust what was going on and know that what I'm feeling is not right. I had to trust that intuition, right? When it comes to wellness and understanding, how many times have you gone to see your primary care physician and they've just been like, "You're okay, your blood panel is fine, your screens came back okay, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you." Boom. But you don't feel okay, or something is not right. Another place that we experience this is in education, right? You are taught to sit, you're taught to listen, you're taught to read, you're taught to learn. You are trained to be a good worker, right? You have a 15-minute recess and a 1-hour lunch. In school, the same 15-minute recess and maybe a 30-minute lunch you might get on the job. By the way, if you're working an 8-hour shift and after 5 hours, they haven't given you your lunch, you are entitled to 1 hour of pay. I just found this out. I didn't know this. If you're working a 9-to-5 job and your employer, you haven't gone for lunch, your employer is entitled to pay you for an extra hour. Okay. Now, in education, we are taught to think a particular way, to see life through particular lenses, right? And certain levels of creativity, certain levels of intuition are only fostered in art, they're only fostered in music. And even then, there's a certain kind of structure that you're usually supposed to follow, right? So education, the way the education system has been created, it keeps us stuck. It doesn't encourage us to follow our intuition. Another place that really, really engages in this kind of, dystopian bullshit, excuse my language, is when you go to church, the religious trauma that you're experiencing. When you go into the churches, right, there's a level of, like I said, imagination and intuition that has been messed up. I was having another conversation with a friend of mine. She is homeschooling her children. And in one of the modules, she was telling me, they were looking at folklore, right? So folklore from different countries, from different ethnic backgrounds, from different religions. And she was saying to me, but our religion is folklore. So we're watching Disney and we're watching our cartoons, right? And oftentimes we will tell children that this is not true. It's just a cartoon. It's just a movie. They've changed the story, or maybe they did a video, or they did a movie from a book or something, but they may have changed it around a little bit. Right? This is what we're told. We are told that these allegories they're allegories. It's the same thing within religion. Religion is folkloric in its own way, right? And there are certain things that you're told to believe and certain things that you're not really supposed to believe. But for me, the basis of that, for me, what really got me is that, I'm coming from a Christian background. They'll say that we're made in the image and the likeness of God. If you're made in the image and the likeness of God, am I not that? But if I say that I'm that, then it's blasphemous, okay? But if I believe that I am that, shouldn't I have those powers and capacities? But if I say that I have those powers and capacities to try and do that, I'm considered blasphemous, right? So it's very confusing. It is extremely confusing, right? So the constructs within which we're living, understanding these constructs that are setting up linear ways of experiencing life, so that no, you don't realize that your body it's an electrical system. The heart is an electrical system and it's pumping. We are electrical and magnetic beings, right? If you put your hands together, you can feel the energy move. If you put your hands in this particular way, you can feel the polarity between your hands. If you keep it there long enough, you go back and forth. I can even feel it happening right now. All of this to say, it is so important for us to begin the process of synthesis, right? Bringing things together and leaving analysis out of the picture. Because when we get into analysis, we will separate and separate and separate and dissect so that we can come to some kind of conclusion about one particular aspect. But when we are connecting to our wholeness, when we are encouraging well-being, when we're encouraging our higher self to move forward, when we are working with intuition and we are building our health, when we are building our lives, and we are building any aspect of ourselves, trusting who you are, trusting what you know, trusting what you have is important. And you need to be able to see the whole picture, because that will give you a better context. If you can't see it, you can't believe it. This is how we're taught. If you can't see it, you can't believe it. And if you did see it, it was a dream. It's not real, right? I'm here on Instagram and Facebook and on my podcast to ask you all to really stop and think, why am I not trusting my intuition? Why am I not responding to the needs that my body, that my spirit is requiring? And I bring this up again because, like I said, I work with women predominantly. I do have male clients who I work with, or male identified clients who I work with, men who have a phallus, people who have phalluses, right? I do work with them. And I work with women. And one of the biggest results that people have when they work with me is their level of self-trust shoots up. The level of self-trust, their boundaries, if they had shoddy boundaries after we worked together, their boundaries are much stronger, and their interpersonal relationships. So I wanted to leave you with this right now and let you all, just take a look for yourself, like where are you? What needs to be reevaluated? What is of great and grand importance? And am I following my intuition? So if you liked what you heard, I would love to know that you were on the replay, #replay. Let me know what your takeaways were, what you appreciated, what you didn't appreciate, or what questions you have, because I really do enjoy commenting and, communicating, having conversations with you guys. So please let me know what your takeaways were. And if you want more of the work of this kind of information, please feel free to go to the link and sign up to my email list. Sign up for my email list, and you will receive weekly emails with bits of information, tips, insight, as well as information about pop-up wellness clinics and pop-up performances. I'm starting to perform again. I'm so excited. And any other different things or appearances that I'm going to be having. I would love to share this with you, and I'd love to have you as a part of my community. Okay, so I'm wishing you a wonderful afternoon, morning, or evening, wherever you are. And I am looking forward to coming on and having more communication, more conversations with you again in the future. Take care. Be well.